Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of One Spirit Connect. I'm Greg. I'm your host. I want to apologize for being a few minutes late. I have had a cancellation, and I was looking for someone to go ahead and come on. I have a couple people pending, so we're going to play it that way right now. I apologize for being late, though. Let me just do this. That was one of the things that happens occasionally when you don't go ahead and really look at your responses. Because Mr. Bates did go ahead and tell me that he wasn't going to be able to make it, and I had just come downstairs, and it was my fault, nobody else's. So let me just go through this real fast and make sure that I got everybody covered. I know that there's been a lot of people that have been going around and, trying to get things done because of the way the weather's changed. It's been really, really wonderful. I know there's a lot of people that there's been interesting things that have gone on real fast. I'll try to do this. I know it's not like what usually happens around here, and I apologize for that. Let's see what happens. Okay, well, let's start out as we normally do. And number one, I'll go ahead and say welcome to everybody that's watching. I apologize for this part. This tonight's show, we will go ahead and reschedule. That's for sure. Let's start out by going ahead and talking about the people that I support. Number one, it's Potographs. Potographs is a nonprofit, or it's a charity-based group that's put together by Tim Miley and his lovely wife. And what they do is they do events. When Tim first started, what happened was Tim was had just lost his pup and didn't know what he was going to do, and things were looking really bad. And he ended up going ahead and decided to go ahead, and he saw he had a big picture of his pup and had copies made, and him and his pup, and took the copies and went ahead and took him to this Paracon that was up in Wisconsin somewhere. I think it was. I don't know for sure. But anyway, he took it. He took the photos there, and he ended up selling them for so many dollars a piece as trying to raise money. And that was the beginning of his charity. So all his money and proceeds go to sheltered animals, animals in need. And the second one is PKC, Paranormal Kicks Cancer, with Chris Gaskowski and Alex Wilkinson. And they are out of down in Florida. They do a great job as far as putting together events and Paracons down south. And what they do is a lot of haunted houses too, things like that, where they can have fundraisers put together, and all the money goes to what's commonly referred to as Paranormal Kicks Cancer. So there's been a lot of interesting things with them. I will be working on going ahead and having them come on too. It's a shame that that they have been in the South, and they've had a lot of great events. I interviewed a friend of mine pertaining to going ahead and coming on, and I thought, what was going on yet? But anyway, we've got Adriana is on here, and Linda Kruger, Nancy Kelly. I'm going to try one more thing here without going too far. But it comes down to the point where who can you talk to? I know I could have had 3 different people a little earlier, and I'm going to just do this real fast. I don't know if he is. We'll see if this works or not. I know usually something happens, and what does that idea? Let me do this real fast. He doesn't even on. I don't even think he's on there. Mr. Claus, how the heck are you? Anyway, we were in the middle of talking about Paranormal Kicks Cancer, and we went ahead and ended it with literally going ahead and saying, I can try this. But anyway, usually when you go ahead and you run into a situation like this, we talked about Chris Gaskowski and Alex Wilkinson, and met them. They were up at Tennessee, and they were up at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. I want to try this. Excuse my I can't chew gum and walk at the same time. We'll try this real fast. Whoops. Stay there. I hope I didn't lose you. Just hold on a minute. I'll be right back in a second. And if this isn't, I don't pull a rabbit out of my hat on this. Just right. I'll be back in a second. Okay, let's get back to there. Okay, so this is what we're going on. Hopefully this will work. Once again, my apologies. It's like a humbling experience every time your floor falls out from underneath you. I know it's a little hard to handle. I had a bunch of things that I did want to talk about, and I'm going to have to keep a lot of those waiting for what's going on. I feel you not well from Texas investigating. I haven't been to Texas this year. I was in Texas last year, Jim. But Kimmy Corpse is here. Maybe Kimmy wants to. How about 10 minutes, Kimmy? Let's see if this works. This would be a very interesting evening because I have wanted to go ahead and she's on the list. But this is like, when you get in those emergency situations and you just go ahead and it happens, Greg. You're handling like a pro. Thank you very much, Barbara. That's awfully nice of you to say. But so some of the things that, or one of the things that I really wanted to go ahead and mention was a lot of the different things that come up on different groups, on different pages, and how we all try to put out the best content, no matter how hard we try, and no matter how hard we try to put it together, it seems every once in a while to fall through the cracks. And that was my fault because I never bothered to check my messages because I had another good period of time before he would have been on. So, and I was so busy getting this other stuff done, and every once in a while you learn a important lesson, and I know there's a lot of people out there that you just don't want to bother because you don't want to. I think she's tending bar. Okay, let's see if now I'm gonna try just something else here. And this will be first come, first come, first serve. I'm gonna try one more. See if I can pull a rabbit out of my hat here. Wow, this is like crazy tonight. Welcome to Crazy Town, everybody. Like I said, it'd be first come, first serve. Nobody's at the gate yet. Everybody's got their ticket in their hand, ready to come in. Nancy Noonan Kelly says, okay, everybody, while you do that, anyone have a good recipe for short ribs? Okay, if you guys want to go ahead and reply to that, that would work. I don't want to lose you guys, so I'll be in and out. I'm just trying to go ahead and do the best I can under the situation. I'm going to go ahead and cover this, and then I have a few things to mention. Number one, uh, we were at Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, now it's like, I think this is the second weekend. We were there right around the 15th, something like that. We're on there and then the 11th, and had quite an interesting time there. It's a huge location. It's one that, for some unknown reason, I never covered. Uh, there's rooms for a lot of people there. You can go ahead and do a lot of interesting things as far as investigating is concerned, because the hallways go forever and ever and ever. So, you know, situations like that come up. We had a great time. We had a lot of shadow figures. We had a lot of responses, EMF responses. K2 was, we had one period where we actually had a spirit responding, and I was in this cage, and I brought that in there with me just because I had my recorder in my pocket, and we went ahead and just started asking questions, and I asked him to continue to go ahead and light up the lights, and he just kept on doing it and doing it and doing it. I don't have any EVPs with me right here, right now, but I've asked a few people. We have one or two more, one more, and then that's going to be it. And then we're going to just get on with this. We're going to handle it. So, we'll try this. He's on a call right now, so maybe not. It's always an interesting conversation. So we're going to go back to where we were, and we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to talk about the last part of the people that I support. That's how far behind already I am. And the third one is the Jessica Petrie Foundation. And the Jessica Petrie Foundation, that's looking me right in the head too. Deals with it's a resource for expecting mothers and families of women with mental illness. So that's one of them. That's the last one. And that was done by Mr. Okay. So I'm going to put you away just for one more minute, and we'll get back to this. This is like revolving doors for some reason tonight. And once again, I apologize. What a night. But it happens. Everybody been behaving themselves besides me? Okay, let's get back to the show. You watch these, but that's not. I will see. This will be the last. Will be the last of it. See if we pull a rabbit out of our hat. That's usually what it's referred to for me. But anyway, we talked about the people I support. We talked about photographs. We talked about PKC, Paranormal Kicks Cancer. We also talk about the Jessica Petrie Foundation. I do want to say a few words about uh, Mr. Todd Bates, who had to go to work tonight. I do want to go ahead and mention a few things about him and his amazing job that he's doing right now pertaining to his show. And he has an amazing, where he breaks all the EVPs down and breaks them down as far as residual and intelligent haunt, things like that, things that are used to classify EVPs. He does actual work on the show where he'll take an EVP and they'll go ahead and they'll play it through, and he uses his various pieces of equipment to go ahead and show you how to do it, and he also offers courses too, which are very nice. Uh, let's see if this works. Let's see if that works. Maybe with a little luck. Uh, but anyway, he was Mr. Todd Bates. Has been around for a long, long time. He's an amazing podcaster. He ran a couple of great shows. I had the good fortune of being on a couple of them. Uh, I wanted to get him on here because I think it's important for the community to be able to see the quality of work that he's putting together for this project that he has going on right now on his show. And It's the name of the show is The Haunted Voice, and it's underneath. You can go ahead and check it out on ITC experiment explore explorations.com. I can't even read my handwriting tonight, but uh, I'm not going to blow too much on it because, well, it doesn't really make any difference what I'm saying right now because when he comes on and he'll be on the show, I imagine that a lot of you people will be amazed at his subject matter and how he goes about going ahead and determining it. Uh, so I mean, it's really neat, and like all my other guests, I was really looking forward to having him. I'm sorry he had to work. We're going to have to reschedule, and we'll take it from there. Uh, then I would want to go ahead and mention to you the people that I go ahead and I support. Uh, Not support the people that are have great books that are out there that you guys can go ahead and read. One of them is one of them. We're going to go through them. Okay. So what that amounts to is, he puts together an absolutely great program, and if he has somebody come in, that's one thing. He concentrates on a lot of different things. I'm going to go ahead and mention these people that are with the great books and the authors that I support. You got Bruce Holliday, Tobias Wayland, Adam Benedict, Kathy Kressel, Barnaby Jones, C.L. Carter, Dr. Heatherly Langdon, Lynn Monet, Ron Iacovetti, Victoria Munday, Tony Rathman, Natalie Jones, Patty Negri, Sylvia Schultz, Amelia Cotter, Rex Nielsen, David Sloan, and Christina Bloom. They're all great authors. You can get most of their works via Amazon. Uh, Check them out. Every one of them is a very, very good author. Enjoy them tremendously. Okay. Jim Amert says, got a 100-year-old Davy Crockett doll today with magnetic energy in it. Well, that's pretty interesting, Jim. I imagine that if I went ahead and send you, do you have it available right now? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here. Once again, you guys can hear me. I'm going to send you a link, Jim. I just sent you the link. If you'd like to come on and show your doll, that would be amazing. Awesome. So come on. We don't have to worry about any makeup or anything. I was going to go ahead and have you come on, but it was all last minute, and it was just see if that part works. But now we got two fires in the oven. We'll see how this works. And we'll go back through the comments. Barbara, I imagine you're pretty much ready for bed. We got Linda Kruger, Nancy Noonan Kelly. We have Adriana Trudeau. I know there's other out there that I sent out there, so we'll wait and see what happens with them. Okay. Okay. I have a great group of people. I have plenty of people to bring on here. It's just going ahead and last minute's the big tricky thing when you're going ahead and you're dealing with a lot of people. And there's subject matter that I'd like to go ahead and cross and go through. And I apologize if I'm not just going down and saying, why. Hi.
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
What's up?
You're on TV.
I see that. I didn't
I
have time to crate up my dogs, so they're
that's
going to
a
be barking in the background.
you know,
So
you
bear
just
with
let
me.
them bark away, whatever happens, Kim.
Yeah, they're raising
I
absolute holy hell.
I was almost right on time tonight, and I never bothered to go up on my messages to see, but my guest went ahead and was called into work. So
Uh-oh.
if we get any more people in here,
Well, what are we going to
it's
sit here
it's.
and what
But
are we going to sit here
anyway,
and talk about, Greg?
okay. This is Kim Baranski. Kim is a member of our Wednesday night crew that does One Spirit Connect. An amazing lady. She's a woman of many talents. She has a great deal to do with the medical profession. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to her right now, and then she could go ahead and let you people know her involvement with that, and then we will go into other things like little topics like crystals and investigations
Ooh, that's my
and
wheelhouse.
and her collections that she has of objects and things like that. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Kim. Welcome. Thank you
Hey,
very much for being here. It's a pleasure.
I'm always a guest in the audience, never actually on, so I'm
Well,
happy to be here with you.
thank you very much. And why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself as far as the medical part? Because I
Okay,
think,
like Greg said, first off, I'm usually on Wednesday night when Spirit Connect, but when I actually have to go to my day job, I am a nurse. Been a nurse for almost 36 years, coming up in July. I'm old. Uh, Left the bedside a few years ago. Just got tired, burned out, broken down, and over it, and started teaching. So I teach nursing students now. So I'm trying to pave the way to get some young ones in there to take my place when I finally break down. I just finished my doctorate in educational leadership a couple of months ago, well, about a month ago. And I have worked in every area except for labor and delivery and oncology. So ICU, operating room, recovery room, all the med surg units, pick one, I've worked on it. And as of right now, I work in the psychiatric mental health uh, aspect of things. And I haven't even told you this yet, Greg. Probably in about another 3 months, I'm going back to school again. So I'm going to take a breath and do it again.
Why are you going back?
Hey, just because I'm educated doesn't mean I'm smart. No, I want to get my psychiatric nurse practitioner, and I want to do veterans and homeless outreach and see if here in Arkansas, where I'm from, maybe we can get some mobile health units or something like that that can go to some underserved populations rather than have them have to come in to us. So that's kind of my goal when I grow up.
That's
That's
really
what I want to do.
when you grow up.
When I grow up, that and I want to open special needs housing
You didn't tell
as well.
everybody that you're only 22.
Well, okay, I have to say I'm probably let's go with 30. Let's just go into even 40. I started very young because remember I've been in nursing 36 years, so
Okay.
I started very young. I was a prodigy.
Okay, Prodigy.
Yeah, I was good. I was like 4 running around up there.
So is it okay just to call you Kimmy because we're on the air and everything and you're really a doctor? So I
I
mean,
am. I'm Dr. Kimmy, but Kimmy is totally fine with me. Kim, Kimmy, whatever you want.
so how about your early time when you
Early time and what aspect?
uh how you grew up, what you did, that
Oh,
kind of stuff.
well, I'm originally from an itty bitty bitty town up in the north part of Arkansas, the county seat of Izard County, Melbourne, Arkansas. And we floated on down here to the big old city of Little Rock. When I was just shy of 9 years old, my mama became a state trooper, and at that point in time, they put all the women in the middle of the state so they could keep an eye on them. That was 1979. Well, you couldn't let them little women run loose with a gun out anywhere now. That's just crazy talk. So I grew up for the most part down here in Little Rock, North Little Rock. Um, Pretty uneventful life. Pretty decent kid, all things considered. Didn't even smoke, drink, do drugs, none of that stuff. Lived a pretty dull existence. Wouldn't say it was sheltered, but I just wasn't a wild child. Kind of stuck to myself, had a couple of friends, but nobody that I really hung out with and just really connected with. It was just more or less me, myself, and I. And decided I was going to get sick of school about age 15 or so. Had all my stuff together with a 4.0, graduated high school a year early. My full intention was to go into the military so I could see the world and get an education. And my mama got hurt working out on the road as a state trooper, and I wound up taking care of her a little bit, and that sort of spurred me into the nursing field. And the military went to the wayside. Met my first ex-husband somewhere around there, kept him around for a little while, got rid of him, found another one, got rid of him, and fast forward today, and here we are.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so pretty average life.
Now, as far as the big subjects concerned,
Yeah,
the paranormal,
my favorite.
okay. Why don't you give everybody a little idea of where you started and where you are today?
Oh lordy loo. All right, my first paranormal experience was when I was probably 3 years old. So it was back, it's one of my earliest memories. There are two. Um, Back up in Melbourne, sitting up outside on the steps. It was a cool night. I remember I was about three, almost four, a little bit cool. I was sitting out there wearing my little shorts and my little tank top and a little too cold. And I remember something in my front yard. It looked like, and this is going to sound crazy, a cedar tree, just a plain old cedar tree. It was to my left, and Carol Garcia and I have talked about this. And the tree sort of shook, and the tree went from the left side of my field of vision across in front of me to my right field of vision. And it startled me and it frightened me a little bit, but it intrigued me at the same time. And I ran in and told my mom. And of course, she came out, and by the time she got there, everything was back where it was supposed to be. So we just kind of brushed it to the wayside, and we didn't talk about that. And then, not much longer after that, and it had to have been in March, and my birthday's in June, so that's why I know I would have been coming up close on 4. So it was around St. Patrick's Day, because I had no other words to describe this, but around town I'd seen decorations with like leprechauns and, the shamrocks and stuff. I was at my grandmother's house, my nanny's house, and she was kind of a big lady, and we were laying on the couch, and I was kind of squished in behind her, and it was bedtime, and I was facing outward and looking over her and towards the far wall towards the ceiling, and I saw something. It looked like a man, and no, it did not look like a real leprechaun, but I remember I just didn't have the words. Up there, and he was up there, and he was watching us. And I must have shuffled or moved or something, and my grandmother looked back over her shoulder, and she said, "What do you see?" And I said, and I kind of froze, because you're not supposed to see something in a corner. And I said, a leprechaun. And she goes, uh-huh. Well, if it bothers you, just tell it to go away. You got control over that. So it's on you. If you don't like it, send it on. Just very nonchalant. And I thought, okay, this is okay. Apparently she's okay with it. I would have never told my mother. And as the days and weeks went on, I began to experience more and more things. And my grandmother, instead of stifling me on it or telling me it was just make believe or an imaginary friend or not real, she started to drill me on things. So as I would see things or experience things, she'd say, "Oh, look, you see the lady over in the corner?" And I'd say, "Oh, no, it's not a lady, it's a man." And she goes, "Oh, the man with the blonde hair." And I'd say, "No, he has brown hair." And she would drill me to the point that it was like an exercise, just like she was training me for basketball or, a game or something. She would drill me to the point that I got very good and very proficient very quick. And then that's when I realized, at some point, a little bit of time had passed, she's experiencing these same things that I'm experiencing. And that really brought us closer together. But we had this thing we couldn't tell my mother, because she would tell me my mother would always be, "Don't tell your mom," and scare her. Only to find out many years later my mother had some experiences as well. So this is something that's really very strong within my family on my maternal side. And we've been very fortunate to live in houses that have had a lot of spirit activity over the years, just countless things. And I've been very, very lucky that I've only had one even remotely negative experience. And even then, I didn't feel like I was in danger. It was just bizarre and odd. And I still live in a house. You'll see sometimes my lights on, when Spirit Connect, you'll see my lights in here flashing. I've had an electrician come in and look this place over. There's nothing wrong with my electricity, but it just happens. But yeah, the paranormal, I fell in love with it and have had a bond with it since I was a very small child.
That's amazing. That's really, really
Yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah. And
Now, do you have any articles or antiques or anything like that that you have brought into your abode that uh,
oh, just about everything I own. I am that person that if you have a trunk that's stuck out in the top of somebody's barn, I'm going to be the one up there pulling it out. I try to bring everything in one item at a time so that we don't inadvertently pull something in here, have something negative happen. But right now, it's sitting out in my garage. I have my totally not haunted trunk, and it's a big old steamer trunk from probably 100, 125 years ago. The thing's just about to fall apart. And it came out of the rafters of the barn. I found it on Facebook on a free site, and these people were just dying to get rid of it. And I'm starting to understand why. I brought it in my house, and again, this is something I was telling Carol about. And really odd stuff started happening. Nothing negative, but just my house got very busy after it came in. Carol noticed a young woman standing behind it, and I would hear footsteps up and down the hallway at night. And I finally had to move it back out to the garage just because I couldn't sleep with the noise. It was whoever it is that's attached to that trunk does not know how to be quiet, and they don't follow directions. So I had to move the trunk back out. I've got some medical items that are out in my garage that I uh, procured from another nurse that had a collection. She was retiring and she gave them to me. There's a bassinet out of an old nursery. I've got basic stuff, bedpans, urinals, instrument trays, those kinds of things. And I've picked up a spirit named Marion, or Miriam, I think it is. We can't really get clear on that. And she's attached to something in that group, and she is absolutely delightful to have around. So we're going to keep her. And then you know about my old gun that we have, that it's an old British rifle, and we've got Major, we call him Major F off, but we don't call, we actually use the word because he is rude, crude, and socially unacceptable. And every time you say something to him through the spirit box, we basically get the FU or F off. And so he's attached to that. And those are really probably my biggest items. And then a few little things here and there that I can't really be sure about. And from our investigations, we always ask before we take it, but we always get a little sample of dirt, a little teaspoon of dirt from everywhere that we investigate. So I have my dirt collection or brick collection, depending on what they allow us to have.
Wow. That's something I don't remember. I think I remember 99.9% of everything that you've ever talked about, but I'm not your dirt collect. No, maybe I did.
My
I think you
son
mentioned.
Aaron got me onto collecting the dirt. That was his thing. And everywhere we go, we always ask if we can get a little bit of dirt, or we'll go off to the edge of the property and just take a teaspoon and just get a little baggie of dirt, and then we put it in a little bottle and label it with where it came from, and then the date that we investigated there. And we always, through the box, always ask permission. Do you mind if we take a little souvenir with us? And if something says no, we don't. But so far, or we wouldn't. But so far, everybody's been okay with it, and the owners of the property, of course, don't really care. They're not going to miss a teaspoon of dirt. So it's kind of a nice little way to bring a little something home with us, sometimes literally.
As
But
Rihanna says, why is the dirt special? Because
why is
she was.
it,
Oh,
to us, it's just a memento. I mean, some people go to places and collect T-shirts. We investigate, we get dirt. It's something that's easy to carry,
easy.
easy to
It's
store.
not expensive.
It's not expensive, which right there is the kicker. That's the key. It's cheap.
If you have objects that go with you,
I'm
I
not. I'm not quite following. Back up and try one
either
more
am
time.
I. Why is this is by Adriana again, and she said
Yeah.
originally, why is dirt special?
Oh,
And then she says, if you have objects that go with you, pertaining probably to something that would be attached to the dirt.
we've never had any problems with that, but I will say, as our group, I'm trying to get my ceiling fan turned on, and it doesn't want to turn on. There it goes. With us, we're very careful when we investigate. We go in with a very clear mind. If anyone's feeling under the weather, they sit out. Um, we don't allow you, if you're investigating with us, you can't have anything in your system more than, say, maybe a Tylenol or an ibuprofen. Obviously, no alcohol or substances. Um, Everyone in our group, I'm not of the core group anyway, everyone is of a strong faith. And so we open and close just like we do on When Spirit Connect. We open and close with prayer. There are times that we will step back in an investigation if we feel like we're facing a little something more than what we're ready for. We'll back off, let ourselves rest, relax, hydrate, eat. Uh, we'd rather lose a few minutes of time rather than be unsafe. And we may even say a prayer again, those kinds of things. So we're very careful. We always make sure that we're clear of mind, clear of spirit, clear of heart, clear our bodies of clearer substances, those things. And we've been very fortunate that we've had no concerns at all.
That's very, very interesting. Now, something that you brought up with me, uh, I don't know how many months ago it was, but you were talking about your area and the fact that you've got a whole area of crystals out there
We do.
and things like that. Why don't you let everybody know a little bit about that? Not that you want a whole bunch of people storming the area, okay? You could tell whatever you need to tell to keep it your secret.
Yes. Well, it's not a secret. It's public, so it's well published, and they want the business. But and I don't myself do a lot of crystal work. I think the crystals are beautiful, and I understand that they have really important properties and things like that. But for me, crystals go more to just the fact I think they're really cool and really pretty. But in Arkansas, we do have a lot of crystals, a lot of minerals, very rich soil, um, and about 40, yeah, about 45 minutes south of me, we have several crystal mines to where you can actually go, and some of them you actually go down into the field and you can dig your own crystals, and and another one they bring up tailings and you can go through them. And they have got some of the most beautiful, clearest quartz you have ever seen, and amethyst and agate, and the jasper is great. It's just beautiful stuff, and it's just coming straight out of the ground. And you can go in for just a very small fee, dig as long as you want to dig during business hours. Anything you find, you take home. And we've got a diamond field that's about 2 hours south of me, and it's the only diamond field that is open to the public in the United States. And that's the Crater of Diamonds. It's in Arkansas State Park, and it's, oh my gosh, how many acres? 27, 28 acres of diamond field. And you can go down and actually dig for diamonds and bring home whatever you find, you keep. And that's really cool. And that's where I spend a lot of my free time, is down at the crater digging in the dirt, which again, there I am with the dirt again. So maybe there's some kind of special connection with that.
So
But
there's a crater there.
what it is it was a volcanic pipe that came up. And the way it comes up out of the core of the earth, it comes up. So it's a stem, a pipe that comes up. And it wasn't a volcano, but it was a volcanic pipe. So back when the whole world was covered with water, this pipe came up, and then it erupted into basically a champagne glass shaped bowl, which is now the crater, the field. And so as things came up and erupted out of that, the diamonds were spewed over this area. And back many, many years ago, it was open as a commercial diamond field, and then it closed, and some huge diamonds have been pulled out during the commercial mining. And now it's open to the public, and the only day it's closed is Christmas Day. So rain, sleet, snow, or shine, you can go out there and dig.
Wow, that's really fantastic.
And the muddier, the better.
Why muddier the better?
The way the diamonds are, the way the qualities, the properties of them are, water doesn't stick to them. So after a really heavy rain, everything is washed downfield a little bit. You can go out, you can surface hunt, and when the sun comes out, you can actually see the diamonds on the ground. Whereas the other rocks, the dirt sticks to them. These have kind of an oily sheen to them, so nothing really sticks to them, so they're easier to see. So you want the field kind of sloppy and muddy if you're going to surface hunt. And then, of course, if you're actually digging, you want that running water to weigh all that heavy mineral down, so you can go and scrape the gravel and then sluice through that to find your diamonds.
So in your group that you belong to,
Mm-hmm.
once you do you have any investigations coming up that you guys are going to be doing?
Um, we've got one investigation coming up. We had to sort of curtail things and change things around. We had some family health issues, but we're starting to get back into things. We've got one that we had to reschedule. It was supposed to have been a couple of weeks ago, but the weather here was atrocious and we couldn't drive. Everything was flooded. So June 28th, we're going to a place up in Mulberry, Arkansas. It's called Kirksey Maternity Hospital. And that's going to be just my group. So there's going to be about 7 or 8 of us going to that one. And that one's going to be really neat. It's an old house. A doctor named Dr. Kirksey, he was a general practitioner, opened this home for women so that they could come in and deliver, so they didn't have to go all the way down here to Little Rock, 2 hours away, 3 hours away to have their babies. And the house has just got this wonderful family feel to it. You walk in, Dr. Kirksey's there. A couple of the ladies who delivered are still there. One of the ladies' husbands or gentleman friend was there to visit her. He's stuck around for the ages. And so it's a nice, easy, slow-paced investigation. Nothing spooky, nothing jumping out at you, but the spirits really want to interact and tell their story and just kind of hang out with you. And it's just really a cool place. It's just wonderful. And
Have you been there before?
I've been there one time without my team. I actually went with a team. You'd be surprised how many people in the medical field are also interested in the paranormal. But one of the security guards at the hospital where I take my nursing students is on a team up in that part of the country. And he and I were talking, and just through back and forth texts, he invited me to tag along with his team. And so back last October, I went to the maternity hospital with Big Boys Paranormal. And they're out of, I think they're actually based up more North Arkansas, but a couple of the guys live down this way. And they let me go with them and tag along. And it was just an absolutely incredible experience. It was so nice to see how other people investigate, learn a few things from them, got to meet the spirits. They gave me a little history of the house, that kind of thing. It was great. And I fell in love with the house, and was determined I'm going back. And at some point, I'd like to take a team of all females in and just see if that makes a difference too. So we're going to give that an experiment at some point and see how that works out.
Was there anything that really stood out for you when you went on that investigation with that team that, you feel that was special for you?
Well, I think even though, like I said, I've never worked labor and delivery, because I do have some gifts, I really felt very welcome, very at home, very peaceful, very comfortable. It was almost like walking in and saying, I'm home, and it felt like family. And we heard some really interesting things. We had some trigger items, baby dolls, baby powder, that kind of thing. But what really stood out was there was a woman with us in our group, and we were all sitting just kind of lined up on the floor up against the wall in what they call the crib room. And she started singing Rockabye Baby, just the little lullaby. And so we all joined in, and our happy little band of folks were poorly singing Rockabye Baby, and we were atrocious. And as we all sat there and sang, we heard the most beautiful humming that went along with it. And believe me, it was not us, because we were not good and we were singing. But unfortunately, even though were recording, it didn't capture on our recorders. We've all looked, and it's not there. But we did get some great EVPs. I have 2 that are absolutely mind-boggling clear that I got on my phone, of all things. I had my phone sitting beside me about a foot away and captured 2 female voices that were intelligent and spot on with the history of the hospital. It was amazing, Greg.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
So, from where you are right now, as far as the paranormal is concerned, where do you see yourself in like 5 years?
I see myself staying with my team, because my son and I we're kind of a mom and son duo. And then the rest of the team is either family or friends that we've had for years. So family, not necessarily by blood, but it's family. So I see myself still with my happy little group. But we would also like to branch out at some point, and we would like to start now that some of the taboo is lifting, especially in the South. You know, I'm in the Bible Belt, so it's all evil, but we're getting better with that. We'd like to teach some classes on how to investigate appropriately. And notice I didn't say correctly because I think there are 1,000 different ways to do something correctly. But we want to teach people who want to investigate how to respect the paranormal and how to investigate while still being respectful without pushing our own agenda, but to get the story from the other side, and how to be able to coexist and maneuver through that and be spiritually, physically, and emotionally safe, and make it a safe space for the spirits as well. This can be a parallel. It doesn't have to be an us against them. It doesn't. There's no push or shove about it. But people don't realize that they see what's on TV and think that everything's a portal or it's a demon, or, and you probably know who I'm talking about, and all these things, and that's just ridiculous. It is an energy. It's just, it's an amazing thing, and people need to learn, if they're going to investigate, how to do it appropriately. And we want to be a part of that.
Oh, that's awesome. The when you were talking before about, when you go in and you say a prayer, and then when
Hmm.
you come out you say a prayer. Is there
Absolutely.
anything else that you do on your exit?
We, those are the two main things that we do. But we also, before we leave, well, it starts before we go in. We do a pre briefing. What do we hope to achieve? What do we hope to experience? How do you want us to react to you, meaning the other teammates, should you experience something negative? How do you want us to handle you and help you, because we're working together as a team. And as we start to wrap up, we start to close things up, we start to announce to the spirits a little while before we leave, we're going to be leaving in an hour. We kind of start that countdown and start that clock ticking of, we're going to be leaving you, so it's not abrupt. Before we leave, again, we're Southern and we're very polite about this. I tend to go around and tell everybody goodbye, just like I would my family. And we always stop before we leave and we thank the spirits for interacting with us and tell them that we appreciate their time. We'd love to come back. We hope they welcome us back. And if we've had anything that concerned us, we openly debrief about that with each other so that we can improve the next time we go in. And again, we treat the spirits as if they are an active part of our investigation. It's not us seeking them out, it's us interacting. So if we see something that concerns us, we're like, I know, Greg, it sounds weird, but I'll say things like, hey, when I walked in the room and you knocked that off, I know you were trying to get my attention. But next time, you might be able to do it this way and we can work together. And I've actually found when I've gone back in places, that's actually worked if they've remembered me.
Oh, wow.
Like, hey, you about scared the bejesus out of me when you knocked the book off. Can we maybe just like flutter the curtains or something? And sure enough, I'd go back in, and whatever door we had talked about in a previous investigation, or the curtains, I've had the curtains slowly slide back, and I'm like, oh, it's you, got it. But no more books flying off the shelf. I mean, it really, we just work together, make it a team. And then again, we pray before we leave. We don't assume everything that we come upon is something that's malicious. We take it at face value, and we've realized that, if you were a jerk in life, you might be a jerk in death. But that doesn't necessarily mean that just because you're a total ass, that you're evil. And we set boundaries and we follow them. If we don't get appropriate interaction, we set that boundary and we will leave. We will not interact with you.
That's some very, very good points.
That's the
I
psych
mean,
nurse in me. Boundaries, boundaries.
well, it's something that I hope that a lot of people pay attention to, because there's, in this particular field, when the investigation starts, there's a lot of people that don't have any rhyme or reason. So, they get involved in it and they go in and there's no thinking.
Yeah.
And, when some of the things that you've mentioned are really wonderful. And, that's the kind of thing that helps build a group and doesn't tear it down.
You know, and we also go in with, even though I'm a firm believer, obviously, I still go in with healthy skepticism. Just because I hear something that bumps or clanks or falls off of a shelf, I always will step back and approach that of, how is the building itself structured? What is my, what's my plumbing, my wiring, my, if I'm outside. When we go in, we make a brief recording of what the temperature, humidity, wind speed, uh, overall weather, all those things. We put that onto a voice recording so that we can log that. So when we're debunking later, we can pull that back up. So we have that as reference to debunk with. So, if we're standing on the porch and we hear wind chimes off in the distance, I'll make a note of wind chimes or dogs barking or major freeway about 2 miles. That way, any sounds that come through, and when we start to listen and process, we can pull those back up and we can look at what we're working with and what our environmental factors are.
Wow. So, for anybody else that would be watching that
Mhm.
is looking for some advice,
Mhm.
or as far as the paranormal is concerned, is there any one thing that stands out as far as what you could tell somebody that's pretty fairly new in the field?
Oh, there's lots of things. And again, I was lucky because I do have some abilities or gifts. So I've experienced this for years. But some people come to this who maybe, I think we all have some intuition that has to be developed. And if you will, just like any skill, if you will practice, you will get better at being able to be more observant of the paranormal, because we all probably miss things day to day happening around us just because we don't pay attention or know to pay attention. So start really being familiar, or familiarize yourself with your surroundings. Do not go out and buy $1 million worth of equipment. Now, I say that I have about 15 side hustles because, well, sitting right here, got my Inkbox S, gotta love it. I go broke on a weekly basis. Every time something comes out, I want it. And I have to really curb that. But to investigate, the best pieces of equipment you can have are your eyes and your ears. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. If you want to buy something, get some cheap $10 cat ball toys that light up and blink. Those are great. Uh, it, I like to use the old school tape recorders, not the digital ones, but the old school tape recorders, because they don't filter out background noise the way the new ones do. You can pick up one of those for like $20 on Amazon. You can still get the tapes. That's a great piece of inexpensive equipment. Balloons. Get a balloon, put the little LED party light in it, blow it up, make sure you don't have a ceiling fan or anything on. Throw it out there, start to have a conversation, watch the balloon move. You know, REM pods are great, but I can get the same reaction sometimes out of a balloon with an LED light, and I've spent $1.50. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to investigate, and do a really good investigation. And for the love of God, do not go anywhere that you do not have permission to go. If you're going to go in a building, get permission. One, it could be a felony if you break and enter. Two, if something happened to you up in there and somebody doesn't know where you're at, how are they going to come save your behind? So always have a game plan. Let somebody know where you're going and get permission. And if it's somewhere where people usually don't go, you might want to notify the local police that you're going to be up in there. Otherwise, the police are going to be investigating along with you come midnight, which can be fun. But, you know,
Either that or start shooting at you.
Uh, we've been really lucky. The police have always been just great with us, but I tend to call ahead and say, "Hey, I'm going to be investigating such and such. If you see some weird little fat woman roaming around, it's just me. I'm harmless. Don't shoot." And everybody's been fine. But those are the big things. Don't go rogue. Don't go out with your buddies drinking and decide, "Hey, it's going to be cool to go out and investigate the old cemetery on the back road." You don't want to be doing this with substances. You need to be clear of mind, clear of spirit. Get permission. Don't spend a lot of money in the beginning. Figure out what your technique is going to be, and then build from there. And know the people you're investigating with. Have a buddy system. Don't go out and, if you're not very experienced, do not go out by yourself, because you need somebody with you to help you stay centered and grounded. Those are my biggest takeaways from watching other people. I've been lucky. My son has been investigating for years as well. So we've always kind of teamed over the past few years together. We investigated independently for years and had no idea the other was doing the same thing. But so I've been lucky. We've had a really good team to hold each other together.
What was your best location?
Missouri State Penitentiary.
Why?
Uh, Oh my God. You have no idea. Well, you probably have an idea. I don't think you haven't investigated MSP, have you?
No.
We went to Missouri State Penitentiary September 12th this past year, going into the morning of September 13th. It was an overnight. Building 3, or Housing Unit 3, which was General Pop and Death Row, was temporarily closed because they were taking down a building that had storm damage right next door. But we were lucky enough that we had access for a brief time to the death chamber. Building 4, which is my absolute favorite building, and I'll tell you why in a minute. It used to be a segregated unit back in the day, and then Housing Unit 1, which was the women's unit, and they had just opened up one of the visitors areas. And I can't remember what his official title was, if it was a major or what, but one of the higher ups at the prison, I don't think it was the warden, but one of the offices, they had just opened it up as well. So MSP back in the day was known as the bloodiest 47 acres in the United States. There were riots there that killed people. There were several infamous people there. They executed males and females there. They used cyanide capsules to do that, and then they did one actual lethal injection there. But the women's housing unit was really, really neat. Um, they filmed a movie there not too long ago, so we had some fake blood we had to get past and figure out what that was about. But the shadows, the disembodied voices, the just the overall feel, it was oppressive, but it felt kind of home-like at the same time. It was a neat feeling up in the women's unit. And then Housing Unit 4, we went into Housing Unit 4 not really knowing what to expect, but it had this Roman architecture that was absolutely incredible. And everything had been quarried on the property and built by the inmates. And the cells were tiny. They were only meant for two men. But at one point in time, they had stacked these men 11 people deep in these cells. So I have no idea how this was physically possible, because there were 3 of us sitting in a cell, and we were more than cozy ourselves. And we're average sized people. So if anybody was a little bigger, it would have been a problem. But we took our ink box S's in, and we sat one on the table. And my son took out a deck of cards and he started to just play hollow, just a quick game of, is my card higher than yours, your card higher than mine, kind of thing. And we didn't get a lot through the box at first, but after about 10 minutes of just playing back and forth, and I started playing along with him just to get it going, we started getting voices coming through the box. And one of the things we got was a young man, and when we asked what his name was, he said it was Ezekiel. And we're like, okay. And when we go into these places, we don't deep dive the history first. We go in, we meet the spirits, and then we go back and find them later. And so Ezekiel started playing hollow with my son through the box. And my son threw down a card, and Ezekiel made some comment about mine's higher. And my son just popping off talking, crap because they're playing a card game. He's like, "Oh man, how do you know? You cheating?" He goes, "Through the box, yours is a 3." And Aaron said, "Shit, man, you're cheating. You're cheating." He goes, "Yeah, I am." Through the box, just clear as day. And my son's like, "Dude, that ain't right. That ain't fair." So he bet him a couple of cigarettes in the game. I got a couple of cigs. You want a cigarette? And we hear through the box, "Yeah, yeah."
Oh, yeah.
So he bet him the cigarettes and he lost the cigarettes. So they set him on the other side of the table. Well, I'd made this shank out of a toothbrush with some copper wire and tape, and I was pretty proud of it. I fashioned it in my front yard. I don't know what my neighbors thought about that, but I ground it down on a cinder block and all that. So if anybody needs a shank for the low, low price at Family Dollar, I can make you one for $4. But anyway, my son pulled that out and he said, "I tell you what, man, I got this shank right here. I'll bet you the shank, double or nothing. You want the shank?" And through the box, this kind of cocky voice goes, "I need that." And my son threw it up and goes, "All right, big man, let's play for the shank." And so he played and he lost the shank. And then he's like, "I'm going to win it back." So he played until he won it back. And so we got so many things like that through the box in there. It was just the funniest thing. And we were with a lady. I don't know if you've had her on your show at some point or not. Her name is Shaw Wooten. She's part of Amok, Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas. It's a group. Anyway, Wooten. She's usually got like pink hair or something. Anyway, she's awesome. She's awesome.
How come you never have pink hair?
Because I have to have natural hair for work, Greg. They won't let me have pink hair. As soon as they open that rule up, I'm all over it, though. I'll have rainbows. But anyway, so we were in there, and Shaw was trying to figure out how to play the game, and she was trying to do a live stream. And like I said, we were 3 people in a cell that was only supposed to have 2, and none of us are tiny people. So this was really, if you look at the video of it, you see our rear ends more than you see anything. But anyway, she sat down and she was trying to play high-low with my son, and she didn't know what she was doing. So she picks the cards up and she's looking at it, and she's like, "Oh man, my bad, my bad. I'm sorry, I screwed that up. I don't know what I'm doing." And through the box, we hear, "It's all good, lady. It's all good."
It's all good.
It's all good. So they totally forgave her for being a total dum dum on how to play. Um, Down in the dungeon, which is solitary confinement, it is very narrow, very short, and you have to go in single file. And my son and another lady, and I can't remember her name, there were like 25 of us, was there, and then myself and the lady was behind me. And as they rounded a corner, I hadn't rounded that corner yet, and it was pitch black dark in there. And we just had a little red light flashlight, and we had it kind of tucked away in our hands, so we were keeping it dark on purpose. But you could see, even in the darkest of dark, you could see something even darker peeking out of the cells in solitary. And my son saw something peek out and kind of peekaboo back into the cell. And he's like, "Hey guys, hey mom, look at this." And about that time, something that was huge came at him like it was trying to bum rush us. And so my son's yelling, "Retreat, retreat." And here we are, 4 fat old people trying to turn around and run. And it looked like something out of a Scooby-Doo cartoon. And what we think happened was they have a spirit there that they call him like Big Boy or Big Guy. And he is from Building 3, the one that's closed. And they think he had moved over to Building 4 for a little while. And the guy was like 7 feet tall in real life. And we think that we went down there. We were one of the first groups in that night. We think we may have spooked him. And my son had on a ball cap and a shirt. And we're wondering if they mistook him for a guard. And but we went out. Like I said, when we feel like we need to leave, we retreated. We went out. My son felt a little nauseated. He went and cleared his mind, that kind of thing. Said a quick prayer. And about 45 minutes later, we went back in, and everything was fine down there. Nothing. I mean, we picked up things on the boxes and that kind of stuff, but nothing like that experience. But even that, we think we just spooked something and stirred it up a little bit. But it was great. It was great.
Wow.
And just a great old building. Just so much energy.
Have you been to that Pythian Castle?
I'm going to Pythian on May, I think it's 31st. We don't do a lot of public events just because we like to stick with our team. But we are going to do Pythian Castle May 31st because Katie is going to be there. Katie Stafford. And, I just love Katie dearly. And Paranormal Task Force out of Missouri is hosting that one. And they do a really nice job of hosting. They're very respectful. They put things together in a great, just very nice, organized way. The pricing to go is great. Just, it's awesome. And when I was travel nursing a few years ago, I actually worked up in Springfield, Missouri, and that's where Pythian is at. And I would always stay when I was traveling at the Route 66 Rail Haven, which is an old motel. It's an old Best Western. And it's just right down the road from Pythian, not too far. So it has a lot of paranormal activity there. And I'm always looking for excuses to go back and stay at the Rail Haven. So it kind of worked out of, yeah, I'm going to the Pythian Castle in May because one, I want to see Katie. Two, I love how Paranormal Task Force does things. Three, I've never been to Pythian Castle and I've always wanted to go. Four, I get to stay at the Rail Haven. So it's a win-win. So yes, I'm going to Pythian.
That's awesome.
And I am so excited.
Is there anything else you'd like to go ahead and mention, so long as we're on the air? And it's not
Oh,
like if you're going to be before a firing squad or anything.
I don't know, Greg. Lordy Lou, there's so much to tell. I'm thinking about branching out at some point and starting my own podcast, but I'm trying to take my feelers. If anybody in the audience would like to throw out some topics, working in the healthcare field, I thought about doing like haunted hospitals or haunted healthcare. Um, I've thought about, oh goodness, I don't know, Greg. I don't know.
I was just curious.
I don't know. There's so many things. Our goal for our team is to do 75 investigations in Arkansas in a year. We have 75 counties, so we're trying to do that. Um, if anybody has any locations in the South that they think are really good places that are kind of off the beaten path, I would love it if they would email them to me at rockcityparanormalresearch@gmail.com. We're always looking for ideas. We're getting back into traveling a little bit more. Um, we hang out and we do Estes method is one of my things. That's my jam. And I only came into doing that. What was it, a couple of years ago with y'all? Katie brought me in, and I love my Estes.
It's it's always been there for me too. I mean, I've always had a positive feeling about when I do the what we do on the show is all experimentation anyway.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I mean, it's a little different when you are on an investigation because you're sort of sealing yourself off,
mhm.
and in that respect, depending on your location, you're counting on whoever's with you to make sure that you're well protected.
Yeah. Yeah. I would never go into a location by myself and put on headphones and a blindfold and sit down. That's one of those things that I would always have one to two teammates with me. I've seen people do it, but I honestly, I trust the spirits more than I trust somebody. I'd be afraid somebody would walk up on me. But if I'm going to do Estes method on an investigation, I like to just find a little corner, like at the end of a hallway or at the corner in the room, and I don't even sit down in a chair. I usually try to lean up against the wall, put my feet flat on the floor, and just chill out and relax. And if someone's going to interact with me, one of my teammates, I prefer them to go to the other side of the wall and ask the questions. I like them to get where they can still hear me so that they can get my responses, and I record them as well. And I just want to be left alone. Don't touch me, don't get near me, don't fan the air around me. Let me just truly become, let my spirit box that I'm using, because I've got a couple that I use that know me and I know them. I'm not going to use a brand new spirit box on an investigation. I try them out first and get the feeling for them before I ever take them out. But yeah, Estes on an investigation, if you've got a team that you trust, is amazing.
Do you do anything with your equipment when you first get it?
When I first get my equipment, again, like I said, we are faith based. I say a little quick prayer and just ask for protection for my equipment the same way I ask for protection for myself. My equipment all gets a name, so every piece of equipment that I have has a name. Um, and I will run it. I don't run it in my house in the beginning, but I'll take it out somewhere that I know and I trust and I feel comfortable. And I'll run my equipment there first. And it's always in a place where I've gotten results before, so I know what results I'm kind of looking for. And I run the equipment there and get to know the equipment and kind of work out the kinks of my sweep speed, my volume, AM, FM, shortwave, those kinds of things, and just break it in. And then I will use it on investigations. But I will never take a brand new, untried piece of equipment on an investigation. It will not happen. I've
That's a
got to know
great
it.
rule.
I've got
That's
to
a
know it.
great
I've
rule.
got to trust it.
Right. They need something that they know that you know is a good piece of equipment
Yeah.
too. That can be trusted
Yeah.
too. I'm
Well, and
sure.
that's just it. And oh, another thing for newbies, I forgot about this. When you go out on an investigation, if you are using equipment, don't expect the spirits to automatically know how to use it just because you know how to use the boxes or you know how the cat balls work and all those things. You have to really sometimes kindergarten this down because you don't know what time period your spirits are from. And to tell them to touch an antenna or tell them to manipulate the radio waves and these things, they don't have a clue what radio waves are. If you're telling them to touch an antenna, tell them to touch the silver stick or push the little blink and the light up round things. Don't be technical. Bring it kindergarten it down a little bit, but don't be condescending.
Awesome.
And and orient them to where you're from. I always give them the date because I found a few that didn't realize that they were actually deceased or they thought they were still living in their time frame. And I found some that have lived almost parallel with each other and were completely unaware of each other. It was almost like they were walking down two separate hallways. They might hear each other, but they can't see each other. So it's like an interdimensional. It's layered. It's not just flat. It's folded on top of everything's folded.
That's an important part too, because there's a lot of people that never look at it that way.
Yeah.
And when you get into it and you think about it, it makes so much more sense because you are there and you are in their environment.
Yeah. And I've always wondered, are they looking at us sometimes wondering if we're the ghost or the spirit?
Well, then,
I mean, I don't know.
can you imagine them sitting there and saying, "No, that's a hot looking ghost."
Or sitting there going, "Hey, do you hear that? Do you hear somebody talking? Why do they keep telling me their name is Kim and the date's April whatever? What does that mean?" I mean, they may be on the other side doing the same thing we're doing. I don't know.
That's great.
And we won't know until we get to our final destination one day. However we get there, I mean, we just don't have the answers. We just
It's
don't.
it's amazing when you really stop to think about it. The things that we have done, places we've been. So the final question. This is like the final countdown. I don't want you to fall asleep. I know this is really boring,
It is
but
not boring.
when what would be your big investigation, please?
Oh my God, Greg, that,
Your
oh, that,
top. I mean, of all the time that you've been investigating, this is the chance. This would be the opportunity that you would be able to do that one spot that you've never had the opportunity to do, but somebody's comes up to you and says, "Here, look, Where do you want to go? Come with me.
Just anywhere in the world, like I'm just throwing it out there, money is no object.
Yes.
Any of the old Russian castles. Pick one.
Russian?
Russian.
Russian? Why
Yes.
why Russian?
The culture, the history, the people, they're some of the friendliest people, family oriented people when you get to know them. And the history is just so amazing. And one of my very best friends on that has ever lived is Russian, and I just absolutely fell in love with the culture. I know there are prettier places, I know there are warmer places, I know there are less oppressed places, but it's a misunderstood group of people, and I would love to hear their story. We hear all the terrible things. I'd love to hear what the real, honest to God people have to say.
A positive approach to their culture.
Well, I mean, there's positive in every culture. You know, through media, we hear the negative. Through history, everybody's agenda twists to be what we need it to be. And that's all countries, all cultures. But the Russian people, they're slow to warm up. No, they don't smile a lot. I learned if you smile, you're crazy, or they think you're crazy. So don't smile. But the people themselves, when they know you and they trust you historically, will give you down to their last crumb of bread if you're family. And we don't see that throughout history from that culture. That's not what we hear. So I would love to experience and talk to the spirits and just allow them that voice. I think it
I
would just be amazing.
I was going to say I thought it would be in Romania, but
Well, Romania would be cool too. It's still that Eastern European thing. I could go there.
you could go there.
I could go there. I could go there. I would have no problem whatsoever going there. Now, I like off the beaten path. I don't like to go to all the places that everybody else has been. Um, but I will tell you, not locally, because it's not locally for me. But if anybody's not been to Malvern Manor, that's an easy one to do here in the U.S. That one really, especially if you have some extra abilities, sensitivities, gifts, whatever you want to call them, that's one that will make you laugh, make you cry, make you go a few times. Um, so that's a really neat one to go on if you're just looking for something that's a good long road trip, and that's in Malvern, Iowa.
So that's a long road trip for you.
Uh, we did it, and I think we only got pulled over by the police once, and it was great. Hey,
Because
we
you were
got
going
pulled over.
100.
Remind me to show you the video of it, Greg. We got pulled over, and the guy asked us where we were going, and we said we were going to Malvern, Iowa. And he looked at me and he kind of turned his head sideways and he goes, "Why are you going to Malvern, Iowa? What's in Malvern, Iowa?" And we said, "You're not going to believe it. We're Rock City Paranormal Research. We're going on this investigation." He's like, "Oh my God, that stuff is so cool. My mother died about 3 years ago. I've got a picture of her and I think it's her sitting in her chair. Do you want to see it?" And he goes and he pulls out his phone on the side of the road and he couldn't find the picture. So we were about 2 hours down the road and we get a text from the trooper and he had sent us the picture of his mother's spirit sitting in the chair. And so all the way to Iowa, we're texting him back going, "Yep, we see her. And there's a dog there too."
Oh, that's amazing.
It was really cool. But I've got the video. I'll show it to you sometime. I'll send it to you. It's on my Google Drive, so I'd have to pull it up. But yeah, it was really funny. And the running joke is, if I'm the one driving, we always build in an extra 2 hours so we can get pulled over because it's gonna happen.
Well, how fast you going really?
That time, 85 and a 55.
85 and a 55.
But to be fair, I saw this motorcycle, and I don't like to run right behind motorcycles because I'm afraid somebody will come up and clip me, hit me, I'll hit them. So I kicked it up to get past the motorcycle. What I failed to realize was the motorcycle had a blue light on it. So I whipped around trying to get around this motorcycle cop. and he pulled me over.
Oh God.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have mattered. He could have been sitting on the side of the road in a car. It was still going to happen. It's become a running joke. I tend to get a little into the moment and get to going, and my car picks up pretty well. And yeah, we were just cruising. It was okay. It's all good.
This has been an amazing time.
It's been
It
fun,
really has.
Greg.
I really appreciate you coming in.
Sure,
Uh,
anytime.
and
I'm just
it's
grateful my dogs stayed quiet.
they were nice and quiet. I'm sure that you went ahead and talked to them before and said they better not make any noise.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I didn't.
But it's great having you on, and I this is something that's long overdue as far as
Yeah.
you being from out there in Arkansas and your amazing education and the things that you've done in your life, and it's great to go ahead and share that with the people that are in the chat. So I want to
Oh,
thank
my,
you very
hey,
much.
here, my son Aaron is on. I just realized he's like, Melvin Manor was incredible.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, there he is. Next time we go back, we're taking strawberry jelly with us, though. We learned that the hard way.
Strawberry jelly. Why?
Strawberry jelly. Yep, we will carry strawberry jelly every time we go from now on.
So that's a little trick.
No, there was a couple of spirits down the hall, and we that we were on, and one of them we kept hearing through the box. It's really funny because it was not malicious. We think he was special needs, and we think he put his arms up above his head like this and would run at people and make noises like roar, I'm a bear.
Yeah.
And he identified his name as Adam. And as I was talking to him, oops, I just dropped one of my quartz. We were talking to him, and he didn't like the flashing cat balls. He didn't like the spirit box, but he agreed just a little bit to talk with us. And one of the things while I was getting him to talk to us was I said, "So, what's one of your favorite foods? Do you like, I don't know?" And we named off some things, and he's like, "Yep, yep, yep." And I said, "How about peanut butter and jelly?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I said, "So do you like blackberry? Yeah. Do you like grape? Yeah. Do you like strawberry? Yeah, 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 strawberry." So the running joke is from now on we're taking strawberry jelly with us to Malvern Manor.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he was sweet. We think he was nonverbal, maybe autistic, and had been picked on a little bit. And he would throw those arms up and run down the halls, maybe trying to make himself look a little bit bigger. Um, but he was sweet as he could be through the spirit box. His name was Adam. We got that. That was really cool.
So we're going to say goodnight to everybody. And I want to thank you again for being amazing. That's all
Well,
I
thank
can
you
say.
for having me, and you're amazing too. You know, I love you dearly, Greg.
It's one of those things, you only come around once, and, special people are special people.
There you go.
You, you can't, you cannot deny that. That's for sure.
Yep. And I think of you as
So,
family at this point in my life. You know that.
yep, I do too.
Well, that's good.
So let's say goodnight to everybody. And for everybody here that's been here, thank you very much for putting up with everything that transpired earlier this evening. You're very patient and tolerant, and I appreciate that tremendously. And it was my mistake. I should have had Kim on about a half hour before I actually did. So,
Sorry, folks, but I did show up
without
finally.
further ado, if you want to hang around for a few minutes, I'm going to just shut it down and say goodnight to
Oh,
everybody. So,
absolutely. I'll
every
hang right here.
okay, so everybody, thanks again for being here tonight. It was an awesome night, and as soon as I can get Mr. Bates back on, which will probably be next, if he can make next weekend, I don't know for sure yet, but I'll find out, and you guys will be the first to know. So you guys all have a wonderful weekend and the rest of a great night, and stay healthy.
All right, and I'll see y'all on Wednesday. Yeah, I'll see everybody on
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Absolutely.
She'll be up in the square up in the corner up there.
Yeah, trying to hide underneath the little, or out from underneath the little skull.
Okay, everybody. Good night.
Good night, everybody. Have a good one. Blessed weekend.
Ha 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 ha.